Hi, Facebook.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy Thursday. That's my tagline, I guess. Welcome to our coffee corner. I think this is our third coffee corner.
Hi, Facebook.
And we are coming to you from the headquarters of the E.J. Johnson Group. We're in Springdale, Arkansas. We are licensed with Keller Williams Market Pro Realty. So it's good to see you all here today. Just for fun, we're always joking in the office about, hey, what's National What Day? Fill in the blank. So, I mean, in case you didn't know, I'm going to help you out with that. It's National Be Heard Day. I hope that we are heard today.
Loud and clear.
I don't think we'll have a problem.
We're all pretty loud.
I just realized, like, it's all girls.
Friday is National Women's Day.
Oh.
The color is purple, so
Well,
Naomi have to wear that shirt again.
Naomi, wash it.
Do I have
You don't have to.
I'll just air it out a little bit.
It's okay. That's really cool that it's all girls.
Yeah.
Girl power.
Yeah. It's also National Cereal Day. So pop in, let us know what your favorite cereal is. And then it's also National Crown Roast of Pork Day.
How are there that many national days?
I don't know.
All on the same day.
I only care about National Margarita Day and National Margarita Day.
National
Tequila Day.
Tequila Day.
Tequila. Yeah.
Tequila Day.
Oh, what
Take
about
a nap day.
National Oreo Day? That was yesterday.
Okay, that has a spot.
Every day, it's like something new.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
who dunks the Oreo? Who just eats it?
I like to dunk it and hold it till it almost falls apart.
Oh,
and
and
then
then
eat it.
the whole
And then
thing, I
eat
do
it
the
when
same
it
thing.
melts
But it
anymore.
has to be the original kind.
It
Double
does.
stuff, the
No.
proportions are
No,
off.
it doesn't.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think I've ever had the double
It's too
stuff.
sweet.
There's a mega double stuff now, and it's like this thick,
Wow.
and it's gross. Don't do it.
It doesn't mean bigger isn't always better.
That's true.
I'm just saying. So anyways, we have a special guest today. Some of you may know her, and if you don't, you need to know her. This is Lindsay Camp with Highlands.
Hi, Lindsay. Welcome.
So welcome. She's going
you for having
to
me.
drop, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. She's going to drop some knowledge on us today because we're going to talk about buyers and getting pre-approved and pre-qualitors and what's the difference and what does that mean and what if I go and buy a car when I'm in the middle of the process?
Don't do that, by the way.
You
So,
mean I can't buy a car and a house at the same time?
I mean, you can just talk to us first because it doesn't always affect everybody the same. So it's always best to talk to your lender before you make any changes to what you're getting ready to do when you're buying a house.
so you're thinking about buying a house. So what do? Sit down with your stand-up pad, your big cheap notebook, whatever, and start making a list of things that are important to you. How many bedrooms do you need? How big is your family? Do you need a big yard? Do you want a condo, townhouse? What kind of finishes do you want? Granite, quartz, those kinds of things. And then remember that we're going to do everything we can to find that for you. But we've also got to be realistic and know that we've got to have some giveaways, right? So we've done that. What can you afford? So that's where this one comes into play. She's going to help us navigate that process, right? So before we write an offer, we like to know that you are going to be able to get in the house, that we're not wasting your time, right? And getting your hopes up. So Lindsay is going to do what?
We are going to do what's called a pre-approval. And a pre-approval consists of you filling out an application, having someone look at your credit, look at your income documentation like your pay stubs, your tax returns for the last couple of years if you're self-employed, and then we're going to be able to run that information into the system and make an educated, pretty good determination that should all these things remain true between now and closing, that you'll be able to get a house. And then that's where we also figure out what kind of budget you're eligible for. Right? Sometimes your budget exceeds what you want to pay, and sometimes you don't want to pay what your budget allows.
Right.
So it really just kind of depends on, you know, your circumstances and what you would like to do, and that's why you talk to a lender so that they can help you through that.
I always say knowledge is power. And so Lindsay gives us more knowledge, which gives us more power. Gives you more power. So we have some questions from some of our buyers that we're working with right now and some of our past buyers' questions that they had for us. And one of the questions that we have is, I think Lindsay kind of covered this, but everyone says to get pre-approved. How long does that take?
So pre-approval really only takes about 15 minutes. However long it takes for you to fill out the application, upload your income documentation so we can review and make sure that the income you're telling us is true and correct, and look at your credit. And once we do that, we can give you a call, and within 10-15 minutes period, you can be pre-approved. It's pretty easy.
Because you have also, do they have to fill out the application to get pre-approved online?
So you can fill it out online. That's the easiest way. There's an app you can even download to your phone. The app also allows you to upload your documents, so you don't have to worry about if you have a printer or a scanner. You can just take a picture with your phone and upload it right
Oh,
to the
for real?
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
I'm still
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still a scanner, and then we have one person in our office, and I'm not going to name any names, but if you know our office and you know who's here, we still have a faxer.
It happens. You can even fax your docs if you can. It's okay.
It's
Some people
okay.
like that.
It's
It's
still
totally
fax.
any way you need
It's
to get us, or even in person. We like to see you face to face if that's what you would prefer.
And
But
that's a great point, because I think that it's important to have, for me, when I'm thinking about a lender, that's someone that's local. Because if I want to walk into her office and I want to look her in the eye or him in the eye, that's important to me.
Mhm.
Virtual is cool,
yeah.
but
Well, we try to appeal to everyone and make it really convenient and easy for those who are technologically savvy. And for even those who aren't, you can come in. We'll make all the copies you need. We're pretty much available. We all live locally. So if you can't get one of us, you'll be able to get someone. There's always going to be somebody to help you and answer your calls.
So are there any documents that they need to have on hand or have to be ready? Is there a chance that they might want to get pre-approved and not have something that they'll need? Is it like, or is
So the
everything
most
pretty
important
much-
thing when you're getting pre-approved is your income. So as long as you can provide us your pay stubs and your employment information, now we would like for you to supply all of your documents to us. But in order for us to really get a good decision on what you're going to fit in your budget, we really need to see the income. That's the most important thing.
And so what is the timeline for that? Like how many years? Is it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? Like we were kind of talking about
Right.
earlier.
So ultimately, you need 2 years tax returns. Now there are exceptions. There are exceptions to things. I'm not saying in all cases that you have to have that, but realistically, you need 2 years of positive income on your tax returns for it to be counted as income.
is it different for anyone that is self-employed?
Yeah. Well, you don't have to have necessarily tax returns. If you're a W-2 employee, we really just need your pay stubs and your W-2s. You don't have to provide your tax returns in order for us to do the loan. But if you are self-employed, that's where you're going to need those 2 years.
Okay, perfect. So another question that, sorry, I don't have them memorized. Another question that one of our buyers had was escrow. What does that mean? They hear the escrow and I think of, oh, they hear that word and they're watching Bravo.
I think we have a real
I don't
estate show that's on Bravo. Well, the money's in escrow. Like they're always like serious talking on the phone.
Well, it
about
means something different, different places. But in Northwest Arkansas,
Here,
what
where
that
we
really
are now.
means is when we're talking about your escrow account, we are talking about the account that we set up to set up your taxes, property taxes, and your homeowner's insurance and your mortgage insurance if needed. And what that does is a part of your payment every single month will go into an account so that when those bills come due at the end of the year to pay your insurance once a year or your property taxes once a year, we've collected a portion of that throughout the year to make it easier for you to come up with that money. When you have a government loan, it's required that you have an escrow account. And when you have a conventional loan with more than 20% down payment or 20% or more down payment, you have an option not to have your escrows included in your payment, but we still suggest that, you should, but you don't have to once you have that.
So that adjusts something when you don't include your escrows, doesn't
It
it? It just, there's
So when you don't have your escrows included, there is a small little pricing adjustment because it is a slightly higher risk for the lender because we're trusting that you every year are going to pay your taxes and insurance. And so because of that, there's going to be usually, not always, but a small little pricing adjustment in order for you to do that.
That's good to know. Yeah. We are people that were paying out of escrow and out of our not paying in our escrow.
Yeah.
Didn't know my sense.
I have a question. So when is a good time to get pre-approved? Because what we run into a lot is you hear a lot of buyers say, well, financing isn't an issue.
Right.
And that's great. We understand that, but it's still it's coming across how to explain like the time to get pre-approved and why it's good to get pre-approved before you buy a house.
The best time is when you're ready. When you say, when you start looking at houses and you've decided that It's time for me, for a real estate agent to show me a piece of property, okay? Not I'm just surfing the internet. Not these are my hopes and dreams and I drive by it every day wishing. But when you make that phone call every day, you know, but when you make the phone call and you say, I want to see this house, I want to make an appointment, you need to have that pre-approval letter in your hand, because if you love that house, you need to be prepared to make an offer in that moment. And if you're not, and you're not really serious, then, you know, you're wasting the real estate agent's time. You're wasting the seller's time if you're not prepared to make an offer if you look at a house. That's really the most important.
And buying some,
and you're getting your hopes.
Yeah, exactly.
your own
It's an emotional
decision.
You don't want to fall in love with a house that you think you can afford and then come to find out you can't, and it's the house of your dreams, and then every house you look after that is
It's not going to
a
measure up.
disappointment. Exactly. Exactly.
So-
you want to be prepared.
When they do get pre-approved, how long does that last? Like how long they get pre-approved, and then how long does that number match up to what they can
So
afford?
let's assume that your circumstances don't change. You don't go buy a new car. You don't change employment. You don't max out your credit cards. That from the day we pull credit until till your credit expires, that's how long your first pre-approval letter is good for. Okay, that's usually about 120 days. Some credit reporting agencies, credit reports, and some banks, now they may be shorter, they may be longer, but with us, that's about the time frame. And that's what we say a pre-approval letter is good for, because I do not have to pull another credit report at a hard hit during that time frame if you close, okay? Now, your lender is always going to do a soft hit to your credit before closing to make sure that since they pulled credit the first time, and since now a couple of days before closing, you didn't go do something else, okay? So please understand that if you do anything between the beginning of the credit pool and before closing, and you've gone and bought furniture, purchased a new car, even had an inquiry but didn't receive a debt, that could negatively impact your credit or your ability to get the loan last minute. So just make sure that you don't do
for
that.
cards or something like that, where they kind of check your credit.
Exactly. You don't want to have a hard hit pull to your credit at all until you've reached the closing table inside the dotted line.
Sounds so mafia. Hard
Yes,
hit,
that's
soft
right.
hit.
That's right.
So if they have done that, if they have
What would Marty Bird call that thing?
Exactly.
Someone's been watching Ozark.
So if they say that by accident or by not knowing they did do that,
Hi, Hannah
what does that do?
Hutchins.
What happens?
So when that happens, or if you make a boo-boo, the first thing you need to
A
do is...
boo-boo.
Is that what you guys call it, a boo-boo?
Well, I mean, we call it a few other choice words. But for the purpose of this, we're going to call it a little boo-boo. If you do that, the first thing you need to do is call your lender. When you've realized that you've done something you shouldn't do, you need to pick up the phone. You need to say, hey, this is what I've done. Is this going to affect me? Because it may be a matter of you better go pay that debt off really quickly, and you know you may need to do something and we can save it. But if you wait until the last minute to tell us what's really happened, it's really hard for the lender to go back and fix it. So you should always be honest, even if you think that maybe you know, crap, I don't want to say this, or I didn't tell the whole truth. Please always tell the truth, because we're going to find out.
It's kind of like going to the doctor.
Yeah.
Like when you go to the doctor and they're asking all those questions and you're sick or you did something weird, who knows, and you don't tell them the truth. Well, how can they fix your problem?
Exactly.
So that just kind of goes back to always talk to you first.
Exactly. And even before you put large amounts of money in your bank account, or if you
That's a good one.
if you sell a piece of a car and you didn't get the proper paperwork, and we may not be able to use that money. So before you do anything,
Because you'd have to know where the deposit
Exactly.
came
No working with Pablo
Exactly.
Escobar
We-
during the transaction.
we would have to know where that money came from. And so before you do anything,
Marty Bird.
you need to just ask your lender and say, hey, I'm thinking maybe I want to do something, or here's where my money's going to come from.
Yeah.
Now, if you're working with a good lender, they should be asking you these questions anyway. But sometimes, you know, things change, or your tax refund doesn't come in time, but mommy and daddy are going to help you until that refund comes in. You know, there's things that, you know, we can do if we know about them, that we can maybe even restructure the kind of loan you're doing to kind of fit your needs, but only if you're honest.
So that mommy and daddy thing that goes into the big amounts of money into your cash or your checking account, that's
Exactly.
not from a paycheck.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So let's talk about gifted funds then.
Sure.
I guess it's a good little
Ties right
segue.
back in, yeah.
Segue.
So gifted funds usually need to come from family. Now that can't mean they can't come from an employer. If your employer has set up an employee program where all employees are able to obtain that kind of grant or program. But typically it needs to come from somebody who's very close to you, somebody you've known for a long time. Now in a case that it's not family, it can be a best friend. We've been best friends since we were 10. You guys used to, you know, roommate in college, and you can establish a relationship, but usually it needs to be somebody that you know. And that person must provide a bank statement, provided that they already have the money, okay? So we're looking as a donor also has to be sourced and traced typically of where they got their money to make sure that it's legal for them to give you that money, basically.
So no
Somebody
gifts.
else research.
Exactly.
Right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Talk to your lender.
Yeah,
Ask them, they'll tell you.
it all goes back to just pull the cord if you have a question, and it doesn't matter what it is, just ask.
And here's the thing too, not all lenders are created equal, and I know a lot of times you feel closer to your real estate agent, and so you might ask your real estate agent for advice about your loan, which you shouldn't do. You should ask the lender, and if you're working with the most awesome real estate agents ever, the first thing they're going to say is you need to talk to your lender because I do real estate, they do lending. You know, your circumstances may be different than maybe another experience that they had. So when in doubt, ask questions because we can always help you if we know what's going on.
Thanks for joining, Alicia.
Hey, Alicia.
Aaron Christie, too.
Aaron Christie, boy, he has a really good story that he could share with us about someone that went and took out a line of credit and may have extended a closing, don't you?
He has no idea what
So we all know he doesn't. So yes, we always refer folks when they have lender questions because we're not the expert there. We always refer them back to their lender, whoever that is, whether it's Lindsay or someone else. Period. End of story. And we would expect lenders to do the same thing. Right?
And there's no such thing as stupid questions for them. I know when I was buying and Lindsay was my lender, I was like, I want to open a savings account. Can I do that? She's like, yeah. And I was like, well, you told me to ask. So.
But it's very good. Exactly.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I want to open up a savings account, put my kids on there, or whatever the question is, right? So there is no dumb question.
Well, I had it pulled up on my phone. I was about to, and I was like, oh, wait. So I asked her, and then I just kept doing it.
What are some of a question you get the most often that may or may not, that may surprise you?
Most people think you have to have a large amount of money to buy a house, okay? They think you have to have perfect credit and you have to have a large amount of money, and that's simply not true. You can buy a house with no money down, even if you're not a veteran. Even there are grant programs and government programs that allow us to lend you the money as well if you don't qualify for maybe a loan with no money down because there are income limits and restricted areas and perhaps you don't meet those guidelines. But there are other opportunities here in Arkansas that allow you to get that lending on a first and second mortgage so that we can help you be able to obtain a loan with very little down, as little as 3% for conventional, 3.5% for FHA. So,
yeah,
How often do those rates change?
So rates are going to change every day, okay, folks? So across the board in reality, all lenders set their rates wherever they're going to set them. They're not all created equal, which is why you should shop around for the best rates and fees wherever you go. But what you need to be concerned with is that sometimes rates can change twice in a day. Sometimes they may not change for a week. Sometimes they may change up or down. Today they go up, tomorrow they go down. It's whatever's happening in the market. And so my rate may change, whereas somebody else's rate may not change. It's just the way our formula is set up within our particular company. So, you know, it can happen on a daily basis.
That's a really good conversation, is talking about locks.
Yeah.
Because I know that I've been asked by several clients, like, when should I lock? And I think that that is a great conversation when you're thinking about new construction.
Yes.
Probably more so than
Mostly,
in resale. And we can talk about how long it takes to close. But can we talk about locks for a second?
So most locks are on the 30 to 35 days. Okay, that's general locking period because most loans, other than new construction, most loans can take place within that period. All loan types can happen within a 30 or 35 day period. You can lock loans for, 50, 60 days. Some loans, maybe you want to get a little bit better pricing and you can lock it for, a shorter period of time. If you're in a hurry. But locking period, mostly 30, 35 days. On new construction, you really don't want to lock in until you're 30 days out, Now, if you start seeing a fluctuation in the market or we start getting news that rates are going to go up, maybe you want to lock it in on a 50-day rate lock. But once you lock it in, that's what it is. Now, I know there are some programs out there that allow you to lock and shop, but again, there's still time limits at which you have to be fulfilled. So you just need to talk to your lender and whatever they're offering you and whatever programs, and just make sure that you fully understand what it means if you go that route.
Very good. Yeah. So to that point, So I know when I write a contract, I'm not going to, typically I'm not thinking, unless it's something cash related, that I'm going to write less than 30 days
Right.
from contract to close. Right. Is that aligned with?
Absolutely. I think that there may be instances where you need to close faster. Again, that's where you would talk to your lender and say, what can you do? But most loans should be able to be closed within a 30-day period.
And is that just like how long it's going to take to get the money there and situated? Is that why you have that time frame? I mean, what's happening in that 30 days?
In that 30 days, your loan is being looked at by an underwriter. Your appraisal is being completed. You're having your inspection period. You're collecting any missing documentation, maybe that the underwriter requested for, and then you go into closing. That's why sometimes if all the pieces fall into place, you might can close in 2 weeks. Sometimes if you drag your feet, or there's an issue with an appraisal or an inspection, or a roof needs to be completed before closing, anything can happen. You may fall outside of that 35-day window.
Right.
But typically, all things being equal and good, 25, 30 days is a realistic time for you to be able to get a loan closed.
So
Absolutely.
that, like you said, that always ties in with the buyers replying in a timely manner to the lender, to the real estate agents, and things like that. So if something's happening and
that never happens.
Everybody answered. 24 hours.
I don't know if you saw everyone's face go. Just down the floor.
But it'll help keep things going faster. The faster people reply.
Which is reasons why we check in with everyone and we kind of try to stay well connected, right?
And if you need to talk nights, weekends, if you're on a weird schedule, tell your lender, hey, I can only talk every day after 6 o'clock. If they don't answer their phone after 6 o'clock, or they don't work after 6 o'clock, you may need to pick another lender who you're going to be able to communicate with, or who's going to be able to come in on the weekends, who answers their phone, but I think it's really just depends on if you need something, you need to just say, hey, I only can be communicated by email during the day, or hey, call my wife. She knows everything. She pays all the bills. I'm just, signing my name, whatever it is,
Maybe I'm signing my name.
Yes, that never happens, never.
Anyways. Oh gosh, I always have so much fun at these coffee corners, and I always pluck something myself and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, didn't think about that. So it's always fun to interact with you guys. Does anyone out there have any questions for us? I see Jade Richardson's here. Hey Jade, what's up, girl?
Allison's here too.
Who?
She used to work for me.
Oh,
okay. Really? We know somebody else.
We do. We have at least 2 Allison clients.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
At least. A couple Ashleys too. So yeah, if you guys just want to jump in the comments and just throw out any kinds of question that you might have for us as a buyer, or for Lindsay as her lender, or your lender possibly, just type them out there and it'll get you an entry to win our thermos.
Oh yeah, we're giving away a thermos.
We didn't bring the thermos.
We did with the microphones
on it. But we did a little bit this morning, so you can maybe find that video on our page and it will show the thermos that we're giving away. And I just have something funny to share when you're thinking about buying a house. Always make sure your car is going to fit in the garage, even when your realtor says, hey, is your truck going to fit in there? Oh, yeah. Sometimes it might not fit.
Oh my God.
Just saying, we try to think about the whole picture. So I guess the takeaways today are communication. If there's a question, just ask. We're here. Build your team. Build a great team. A team that's going to respond to you when you can communicate, whether that's through text, email, or phone calls. And it really doesn't matter what day of the week it is. We work for you, and we're here for you when you need us.
And don't forget too, if you are not quite ready and you need a little bit of credit help, we will guide you and get you there. So if you feel like, hey, my credit's not right where it is, I'm not ready, well, call us anyway. We will help you and guide you and tell you what it is that you need to do to get ready.
Fantastic. Lindsay, thanks for coming and hanging out with us today and answering questions, and we really appreciate you. Naomi, Alexandra, appreciate you as well. And everyone that tuned in, thank you so much. Next week, we are going to be in Rogers.
On site.
Yeah, on site. Assuming that the house isn't going to contract, but we're going to come from one of our listings in Liberty Bell, 5505 South 60th Place. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. built in 2017, all hardwoods. Downstairs is beautiful. So tune in next week. You can check us out rather at the
Yeah, check us out.
Check the house out. And we'll have another surprise guest for you guys next week, able to answer some more questions.
So check us out at theejjohnsongroup.com. And if you have any questions, plug us in here, DM us, or call us at 479-877-0423. Have a great Thursday, and see you later.
Stay warm. Bye.
Yeah, stay warm.
That's right.